Ahoy, this is Zdenka. How to film creative transitions of yourself, by yourself, solo B-roll, and how to edit them directly on a smartphone. That's the tutorial today, and I really am here by myself. I could have gotten to other places, but because it's summer, it's packed of people, so I'm quite limited when it comes to locations where I truly know that I'm gonna be by myself. So all you need is your smartphone, gimbal, which has extendable selfie stick. I'm using today DJI OM5 match cut transition, and this transition, all you have to do is basically film yourself walking straight ahead. You have to make sure that you're holding the gimbal in the same position with the same kind of distance from yourself, so the same distance of the camera, and you will be tracking yourself to make it much easier. Don't forget the first make sure that you are not overexposed, and then select yourself for tracking and just keep walking forward. In the next location, I'll do the same thing, except there will be a different background behind me. I'm filming everything in 4K in 60 frames per second because some of the stuff I may slow down, some of the stuff I may not slow down, I don't know. But to be safe, I just want to film in higher frame rates to have more flexibility. When you record something like that, when you're walking and you want to have your face in the camera, make sure you're not looking in the middle of the smartphone, but you're actually looking at those tiny lenses right there. As I'm finishing the shots, the smartphone app I chose for editing is called InShot. I have other editing apps on my smartphone as well, but I need speed ramping, and I find it easiest with this app. This app is available on Apple phones and Androids as well. Once you open the app, it's good to check your settings. In my case, I want the final video to be 4K resolution at 24 frames per second. The first step is obviously importing all clips I wanted to include in this effect. Then I checked the order. To change order, simply tap and hold on the selected clip, which is going to turn into these squares, which are your clips. Now you can just drag them around in the order you want. The tricky part is to make sure you cut two different clips at the same body movement, so the movement is continuous, only the background changes. If you find that it's a little bit too small for you, I need to zoom in onto the timeline, just do this movement to make it bigger. Once I had clips cut and timed well, then it was time to add a speed ramp. The first clip of the sequence starts as a slow motion, and the end of the first clip goes into real speed. The little clips stay at the real speed. The last clip of the sequence goes from real speed to slow speed again. With this transition, I optioned now to work on the colors. I just went to filters and selected natural filter. There is a slider, so you can tone it down, which I did. Afterwards, I just did minor changes. I pushed the brightness a little bit down. I added very little contrast. Warmth I brought down, as I like cooler tones. Tint I brought a little bit down as well. Highlights down, and shadows. I could have left it as it is, but it would just be a regular match cut transition. I wanted to add a little effect which would take away the attention from those match cuts. To distract the viewer a bit, I went to Effects, Section Beats, and selected one called Shake. There are two sliders available. One is for strength and the other for interval. I toned down the strength and interval quite a bit. Once you hit OK, it will show as another layer on top. All I was left to do is adjust this layer so it is over the inside clips and a little bit over the last one. I didn't want the first clip to be affected, only the middle ones and beginning of the last clip. And that's all. Let's play the match cut sequence. As you can see, I have the smartphone sitting here on the beach. It's gonna be just a static shot because it's time to do a glitch transition. When my plan is first to shoot just an empty beach, and then the second shot will be of me just walking away and then closer to the camera. In the post, I'm gonna get myself to glitch in and out a few times, and the frame maybe a few times, maybe just one time. We'll see how that goes, but that's my plan. We need to add some additional movement. So let's just do a static shot and record empty beach. Once I had enough footage of just an empty beach, I kept the camera rolling and I just walked forward and back and did some turns on the spot. Super easy, took only a few minutes. Let's edit this sequence. The same as before, I imported the clips, placed them in the right order and timed them. I wanted to have first the empty beach, then me having to walk in the shot, a very short shot of empty beach again, another clip of myself, empty beach, another clip of myself, and just empty beach at the end. I wanted to make sure the clips are not too long, very short, in and out. To make it more interesting, I wanted to add glitch. So I went to the effects, glitch, and chose the first one, which is the same name, glitch. I toned it down a bit again, clicked OK, and now it showed as a separate layer at the top. This time, I only wanted the glitch to happen when I was in the clip, not over the empty beach. Once I had one adjusted, all I had to do was hit duplicate to create a copy of the same effect and placed it over another clip where I was. Then I just repeated the process with the rest of the clips. When it comes to color, I decided to use film 02 filter at 100% over all the clips. Let's move to another transition, which is orbit. All I did here was fully extend the selfie stick, enable tracking, and slowly move the gimbal from side to side in several locations. It is very helpful to use tracking and move slowly. If you don't use tracking, you won't be in the center of the frame. And if you move too fast, you might actually lose the tracking. When you do movement like that, remember in which hand you are holding the gimbal, because you want to have the same hand in all the shots. Of course, me, I don't remember such a thing ever, so I did few shots with my left hand and then few shots with my right hand just to be safe. Always make sure the framing, your head position is roughly in the same distance from the top in all shots. Let's go one more time to InShot and see how I edited this sequence of orbit transition. So the first step again was putting the clips in the right order and cutting them at exactly the same body movement as I wanted to be to make a continuous shot, very similar to match cut transition. To make the transition in that one spot, I decided to add a little bit of a speed ramp to make it more smooth. So the beginning of the clip stayed in the same real speed, just the end of this clip went into the fastest speed I could get with the speed ramp. And that was just the first clip. The second clip, I wanted to actually slow down the middle. So the beginning, because that's the transition, had to be in the same fast speed as the previous one. The middle of the clip, I went to slow speed, so I went very down with keyframes. And at the end of the clip, I made sure it is in a high speed again. The same thing I did with another clip. As it was a bit shorter clip, I deleted 2 extra keyframes and left only the middle at the slowest speed to make the speed ramping smooth. As you can see, when you take away those keyframes, suddenly you get a very smooth shape. Last clip was the same as the first clip, so I started very fast from the transition and then just slowed it down to normal speed. The same thing as with the previous sequences, I wanted to make it a little bit more eye-catching to take away the attention from those hard cuts, so I added another effect. I went to beats and selected shake. And the same thing, you will see 2 sliders, one is strength and the other one is interval. And the same thing as before, I didn't want the effect to be way too strong, so I toned down the strength and the interval. Where I placed the effects was only over the cut. I didn't want the whole shake to be over the whole sequence, so I placed it slightly, I would say, towards the end of the cut and then at the beginning of the cut on the other clip, and created a copy of this effect and did the same thing with the other cuts. So the effect is not continuing all over the sequence, it's only covering those parts where are the cuts. If I left the effect all over the sequence, it would be a little bit too jumpy. To make it all blend in, I used filter film 03 and I did a whole bunch of adjustments after I changed the warmth, highlights, shadows. Once I was done with this clip, I simply hit apply to all to make sure the same color is shown on all the clips. So let's look at the final sequence. Well, that's it for today's video. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more. Questions, comments, leave them below. And I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao. Ahoj.